Nothing else.
Good afternoon, Jan.
Michael,
I
good
always have to
morning.
do that time shift in my head.
Yeah, no, it's afternoon here.
Yeah, I think sometimes I
I'm
say good
getting
evening, and that's not quite evening yet.
getting some water here.
Yeah. Have to have some coffee. Second cup of the day, and it's a nice big
I
cup too. So
uh, I keep it with the water. Uh,
yeah, after this,
okay,
it's water all day long. But
mm,
yeah, got to get started.
okay. I'm still
Yeah.
struggling with Maui.
Mm.
So I I worked through that course with what was her name, Lindsay Bros,
Yeah.
the Belgium lady, and then I started to use that for DWS.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm missing that, and then I'm missing that, and then I'm missing that.
Yeah.
Where is the good time that VB6 was just two books like that?
Oh yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm
do remember when we could actually know the full stack, and it wasn't that much.
it wasn't that much,
Mm-hmm.
just these two books, and then you had some other book from an expert which was called the Black Belt
Mm-hmm.
VB6, and if you knew that one, that you knew really everything.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'm getting
yeah, go ahead.
I'm getting more and more behind.
Mm.
Um, so okay, I'm.
Mm-hmm.
I say okay. So I went back to plural site. I said let's see for dot Maui for beginners. Um, but it was not so much.
Mm.
So then you go to YouTube, and then every time I get to this what's his name Monte Mango.
Oh,
Um,
Montemagno. Yeah, James Montemagno. Yeah.
yeah, one of the guys at Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
But he also he puts everything together.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. He originally came from Xamarin. Yeah, he
mm,
was originally an Android developer. Got excited about Xamarin because it allowed him to do some stuff that he couldn't ordinarily do, and then
mm,
got so excited that Xamarin said, "Hey, come on," and then from Xamarin into Microsoft. So yeah,
mm,
he's created things like the Xamarin Essentials library. Just like these are
mm,
the things that everybody does, but they all have to do it themselves. Let's package it up.
mm. But he's also getting so many things together
Mm.
that I'm lost again.
Yeah.
So so then I went again to Pluralsight, and there was what's his name, Chris Miller, who's doing a fundamental course
Mm-hmm.
on Maui, trying that one. But the big picture I skipped. I didn't want to see it.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah, yeah, and
all
part
right.
of the I think part of the problem is that uh, that um, when you do Maui development, you also have to uh, do networking. You have to 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 worry about local storage. Sometimes they just skip that altogether. Um, so you have all these other things that you need to learn along the way, and it ends up not just being a Maui application. You have to write some ASP.NET and some SQL and Entity Framework to do the backend, and so that's all kind of mixed in there together, and that's the full stack you need to learn.
Well, before I had that problem with link and with async and
Yeah,
await,
yeah,
and then okay, I managed to overcome that one.
mm-hmm.
Um, but I find that before and even Windows Forms, which is what I'm still using in the software that I write,
Mm-hmm.
um, you don't have all these links between you need something there, you need something there. It's it's all in one package.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Well, now if you start with, for example, that community MVVM toolkit,
Hmm. It's
um,
already split up
once
into different packages. Yeah, one's MVVM, and
yeah,
actually I don't
but
know what the others are.
if
That's the one I
if
use.
if you if you just forget to declare that
Oh yeah.
in one of the files, then it's not working.
Hmm.
You have to set these keys. You have to set it in the resources.
Hmm.
And just one of these things that you forget, and you get a funny error message.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That is
and the
true.
number of controls is is increasing exponentially.
Hmm. Yeah. And on top of that, I am currently researching some other control packs, some other you know uh, all-in-one frameworks. So
Mhm.
yeah, there's the Grail UI toolkit that looks really good, and they've got full application templates with all these nicely themed controls. Out of the box, it looks really professional. Um, so
For
that's
Maui,
on top of
or
that. Yeah, that's for Maui.
mhm.
Yeah.
That's an open source thing, or that's like
No, that's a product.
it's
Yeah.
like Syncfusion. Was
Yeah.
that Syncfusion?
For
Yeah,
yeah, I think Syncfusion has one, but Telerik or Progress
yeah,
um,
yeah.
has one. Yeah, yeah. The Progress toolkit is the Telerik toolkit is more collection of controls. Grail is more application template. So it's it's getting to the same place, but kind of approaching it from two different directions.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing that I found when I'm coding up Maui is that yeah, I can get to a point where it works, but it's just white text on a black screen or vice versa, based on whether you're in light mode or dark mode. And then when I want to have a like an icon button, well, it's just the icon and it's huge and it's just out of proportion. Um, and it's like, yeah, this doesn't look great. And if I try to make it look great, then I spend all my time fiddling with the properties of the controls. And then I look at what you can see in the Grail toolkit, and it's gorgeous. It's like, okay, I want that. I want my apps to look like that. Just plop it down here. Let me add some Jinaga and then ship it.
It's like some styles that they import directly, or
Yeah, it's as I understand, I haven't been able to look at the source code yet. I think you have to buy the license before you can see the source code. But as I understand, it's all done through resource dictionaries. So yeah, you apply the dynamic resources to your components. Uh, it might also be based on replacing um, the out of the box component with their component kind of that's mostly the style that Telerik uses for their stuff is like this entire class because they want to add some interaction which you can't get just from a resource dictionary. So yeah, I don't know exactly which style it goes down, but what's really compelling to me is that it's you know, when you start it up, it's a full application. It's like, okay, you're going to have welcome page, you're going to have a landing page, you're going to have a list, you're going to have details, um, and then okay, now that you've got that full application, you tell us what those things are actually supposed to be. Yeah, and you um, hit the database and
so
all that.
it's more like an application generator.
Well, not quite to the application generator side. It is an application template, and then you start editing the template. But you don't start from a blank slate, and you have a suite
Mm-hmm.
of components, and you just add the components to the blank slate. Um, so yeah, I really have to to try these things out and, and see if I can produce a good looking application quickly with one of these.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's
No,
just on top of learning base Maui and
yeah.
the new C# features and yeah new features are coming out all the time, even in
Mm.
the base language.
Yeah, I have the impression that you really have to write 24 hours a day applications in that particular uh, in that platform and that language to be good at it. Um, and the time that you could know a little bit everywhere and find your way is
Yeah,
it's getting more and more difficult. Um,
yeah, yeah. I think so. Yeah.
for programmers, a shorter working week is not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a longer week. Otherwise, to keep up with all the technology, it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, at the risk of, hey, we have too much technology. Let's fix this problem. We'll add more technology. Um,
mm,
I think we do have some solutions. So AI absolutely um, is uh, helping me. I've seen to
mm,
be more productive, um, and as it's as you feed it more information about the new technology that's coming along, it figures out how to use it and applies it. So I can show you the work I've been doing on that route. I think it's coming along. But then the other part is raising the level of abstraction. Um,
mm,
and So things like async and link have raised the
mm,
level of abstraction. Before that, you had to do a whole bunch of thread management or callbacks or um,
yeah,
crazy stuff in order to get the same kind of performance characteristics out of an application. And then with link, it used to be that you would have to embed SQL inside of your
mm,
application, and then you would have to to translate from these abstract or these dynamic result sets into concrete classes, and then go the other direction, um, and so link kind of hid that, but then it also gave you this this extra layer of composability. Now with iQueryable, you can build
mm,
up a query on the fly, calling different functions, pass in an iQueryable, have it do something, give you back an iQueryable. So you've got a lot more expressive power in addition to the information hiding that comes with it.
mm,
Um, so yeah, I think that's raising the level of abstraction, and I'm just concerned about the direction in which we are abstracting. Um, we seem to be abstracting away from the bare metal, but toward a different implementation way of thinking. We're abstracting toward okay, well now I know that I'm dealing with the database right here. I know that I'm dealing with a REST service there, um, and so you're still thinking in terms of implementation, even at those higher levels of abstraction. So I don't think abstracting more in those directions is going to get us to the place where I can just think about my application. So where I can just say, these are the kinds of things that I'm talking about, and these are their relationships, and
mm,
this is how I'd like to look at them. So that's the direction that I'm trying to abstract specifications into. Um, so ultimately, you should be able to create an application just by writing a sequence of specifications, and that's your navigation, and that's generates the screens, and then since specifications are mathematical, and the people that are building these applications might not be mathematical thinkers, teach an AI how to build specifications, and now they can have a conversation with the AI, build the specifications, generate the app. So I think there's something down that path, and once we get there,
mm,
then somebody doesn't have to be an expert in the full stack, and they'll be able to do something. But still a long road.
mm. Yeah, yeah, good.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to start out with a quick rewind and go back to the replicator as a service thing, because um, I figured out what went wrong last time. Why we got that big old that big old oh snap. um, yeah, and it was that my browser was waiting for to install an update, and something about the update that it needed and what Microsoft was doing is just nope, not going to do that. So so yeah, I just installed the update, let it do a reboot, and now everything is good. So I do want to show that off. So came into my resource group, which is currently empty, and searching for Jinaga in the marketplace, and I see the Jinaga Replicator, and I want to subscribe to development and testing, and this is the part where it said oh snap before, but now it's able to load the form. Okay, so we want to be in this particular subscription. We want to be in the Jinaga Tester resource group, and yeah, we are doing a 1 month subscription, the first month free. $20 or yeah, monthly subscription, $20 a month after the first month. So once we go there, oops, what do I need? Oh, I need to name it, of course. So let's say that we are going to to build. Yeah, so I've done Bog, Maui, Monster Hotel. I've done my typical ones. I'll do Contoso. Let's go to the Microsoft example. All right, so I want the Contoso replicator, and then subscribe. And so at this point, Azure's setting up its its internal resource, and it's sending a message to the kind of the marketplace portal that I've got running on my site. So using something called the SaaS accelerator to do that. So now that it's set up that resource, I can configure the account now, and it will direct me over to that SaaS accelerator. So I have to log in with the same account. And then it's got this, no, it's still doing the login thing. Here we go. Now it's got this huge token, and that token came from this resource to say, hey, that's the one that we're setting up. So there's all the subscription details. Now all of this is SaaS Accelerator. And then I say, yep, that's what I want to do. I hit activate. And SaaS Accelerator has this this little quirk. It takes some time for the activation to happen on the marketplace. SaaS Accelerator, by default, takes you to this page that says we're working on it, and gives you a link to something else that doesn't actually help you. So I've said, okay, let's do a quick fix on this, and let's have it just refresh the page, which will take you back here, and eventually hitting activate will work. So, yeah, this is something that I need to. Yeah, it says go to subscription list. That subscription list doesn't help too much, but once it works, the refresh actually takes you to the subscription details. So ultimately, I want to rebuild this experience. Of course, I will rebuild it in Jinaga, but SaaS Accelerator exists so you can get up and off the ground really quickly. So once you've done this, now I'll come back here and I will go to the back to my Jinaga test. Let's refresh, and you will see there is the resource. Okay. And from the resource, I can hit the SaaS account on the publisher's site, which takes you back here. So you can always get here. And now this, since we've already activated, now it started that free month. And then from here, I added this button to configure, which takes you to this familiar page. Yeah. So I want that to all be kind of integrated and a bit more seamless. So you should be able to click here, go straight here, log in, and then do the activation from the Jinaga portal. But that'll take me a little bit of time to get there. So then, in the meantime, I sign in with Microsoft. No longer can sign in with GitHub. I've taken that out because it has to be the same account that we've used all this time.
Okay.
So there we go. And now I can create a new replicator. So in the past, I have created these 4 replicators as I was testing this out before. So if I take a look at them, then actually I created this one before I even hooked up the back end. Okay, Festify. There we go. Yeah, Festify is associated with an Azure subscription, so we've got this extra card here. And it says the plan is development and testing. And so I have moved this little warning up here. So if it's a development and testing subscription, then you get that warning. Right now, there's absolutely no functional difference. It's still wide open to have as many facts as you want, as many users as you want. But I'll put those limits in place, and then this will have some teeth. Yeah, for this shows you the subscription. That was the name that we gave it when creating the subscription. So Festify Test 2 was one that I had created over here in the past. But it is currently unsubscribed because after testing it, I deleted it. Don't want to have to pay myself every month. And of course, unsubscribe will also at some point have teeth. It'll also eventually turn off this this endpoint. Right now it doesn't. So little hack until I get that done. Go ahead and set up a subscription. Come in here, create your replicator, and then go back to Azure and delete your subscription. And the replicator will continue to work until I've gotten those checks in place. But much more important to get people on the platform than to make sure that they're not taking more than they need right now. So let's go back to the replicators. Now I can create a new replicator. So when I do so, it's now going to ask me not just the app name and the environment, but also which subscription. So that's the subscription that we just created over here. So we'll use that. The app name will be Contoso. And we'll use the...
But so that means with one Azure subscription, you can make unlimited replicators.
Nope, not quite, because this is just listing all of these subscriptions for which there is not yet a replicator.
Okay.
So now that does open up. So you point out something that is technically possible because of Jinaga. So with Jinaga, you cannot write a specification that says there can be only one. You can't have an exclusive lock on anything. So that means that it is possible for me to duplicate this tab and say new replicator and set up another one. And when I'm finished, I can hit save here. I can flip the tab. I can hit save there, and it will actually create 2 separate replicators, both connected to the same subscription. So just that is not quite enough. What then it also is doing is on the backside, or what it will be doing soon, is on the backside, there is one centralized database that is keeping track of all of your all of the tenants. That's each individual replicator, and all of the subscriptions related to those tenants. So since that is in a centralized database, I can put a uniqueness constraint on that database, and I can have application logic that enforces it. And so that's where it'll actually catch that you did this, and it'll say, no, I'm not actually going to activate that second one. I'll just activate one. So yes, right now that'll work, but eventually, no, that won't. So now we can create that replicator, takes us there, tells us there's the name, it's for development and testing, it is activated. If I come back here, I see it's in the list, but I cannot create a new replicator because it's run the specification. It sees there are no subscriptions for which there's not yet a replicator, and therefore it shows this message, and it says, hey, please visit the Azure Marketplace. And so that takes you right here where you can get it now. Yep. So that kind of closes that loop. So there's some really cool things that are happening with the SAS accelerator. That basically, when I replace that experience with my own, I'm going to have to reproduce those capabilities. So one of those is webhooks. So when I come in here and I want to, if I wanted to change the plan, if I wanted to switch from development and testing to production, which I'm not going to do because that would immediately charge me $100, of which I would get back 97. So anyway, it really charged me $3, but I don't want to do that. So I can change the plan, and it will give me a push notification via webhook to the SAS accelerator, and I've added code in the SAS accelerator that will then create a fact in this application that changes the plan here. So yeah, making a change here ends up making a change there, and it's going partially through webhooks and then partially through Jinaga. We can also yeah, I think really the only other thing that we could do is to unsubscribe, and you could either do that by deleting the resource, or cancel subscription. That's it. So this is a test, and it's been completed. So unsubscribe, and then that's in the background sending out that webhook to the SAS accelerator. So that thing has to be live and listening at all times in order for it to receive the webhook. It'll repeat it. It'll retry it a few times, but eventually it does give up. So then it says the unsubscription is complete. So if I were to look at this again, I don't have this one on a live refresh.
Unsubscribed now.
And it says unsubscribed. So got all of that working end to end, which was really a fun exercise, because this was a great way to exercise all of the patterns that I had written about in the book and that I'd done in without Jinaga, but now I'm in Jinaga and I know these patterns should work, and so I've patterns like having two processes talk to each other by by each subscribing to different facts and then and sending facts, having different distribution rules in place so that certain subscribers or certain parts of the application can only see a subset of facts and other parts can see other subsets of facts. So exercised all that. So at some point, I'm going to put together some material. Probably cover it on a few videos here, but then maybe also some training material to show this is how you can get that that enterprise communication all set up. So that's good.
So that's a real first implementation of use of Jinaga in production.
Yep. Yes, indeed. As an enterprise application, yes. There's really, it comes down to, there are really two different kinds of patterns. There's the enterprise patterns, and then there's the individual user patterns. So the application that the improving team built was really all around individual users, but yeah, this one is exercising all the enterprise patterns. And furthermore, they made the decision that once you are authenticated, then there's no further authorization necessary. So they don't have any authorization or distribution rules. You just have to get past that first gate. And I can understand that. That simplified a lot of things, let them build something more quickly. But when we go back and yeah, that was really kind of getting it to the proof of concept level so that they can roll it out and test it in a few of their locations. But once we go back and change all the things that they came up with during that experiment and make this a production ready application, then I'll say, hey, part of that should be authorization and distribution rules. Yeah, let me show you how they work. But yeah, this one exercises all of that proper security and does it with the enterprise patterns. Okay, unsubscribed. So, which means, yeah, may as well go ahead and delete it, clean things up. And I no longer have that resource in my, well, eventually it'll disappear from my resource group.
Otherwise, in a month's time, they will send you a bill.
Yeah. Hey, you owe yourself $10. All right. Here's, it would be $9.70. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a 3% fee on Microsoft side. So it's like, wow, that's really good, especially compared to like the Apple or the Android App Store. Yeah, Apple is 30%, and I think Android is something like 20. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, 3% is very, very reasonable.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, and I'm currently working with their marketing team in order to optimize this this listing so that it's got a clearer call to action. It's got more more supporting material, and then once we get that optimized according to the performance that they've seen in other listings. So I mean, they've been doing this for years. So they've got all this data, and they're like, okay, these are good listings, these are not good listings. Make yours a good listing. Once we've gone through that process, then they're going to to put it into a blog post, and then there are some other benefits that unlock at different levels of sales. So yeah, you just do $500 in sales, and then you get to something else that that they'll I forget what the $500 level is, but it's like, oh, only 500 and I get more. But yeah, then you get up to $20,000, $50,000 in sales, and then it's like you can you'll be mentioned on a podcast, or at the really high levels of sales, it's like we will have a Microsoft executive mention your product in some forum, and it's like, wow, okay. So yeah, once a partner demonstrates that level of sales, it's like, okay, let's pay attention to what do they do. Okay, that's interesting. Who's the most interested in this one? You, okay, go ahead and take that to a conference that you're going to, a podcast you're going to be on, whatever, and mention that in a forum that it already makes sense. You've already got people there that are looking for this solution. It's like, hey, by the way, here's one. Let's talk about that. And then, so, yeah, it's going to be, that's the trajectory.
That might give some good publicity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's use that Microsoft marketing machine to get more people doing things the right way. And it's gone. So, yeah, the other thing that I wanted to kind of show you where I am. OpenAI, or I see, no, it's chat.openai.com. Let's explore GPTs. And so first of all, GPTs are a a feature for paid subscribers. So it's $20 a month, and then you unlock access to faster models, to more more tokens, larger context, and features like GPTs. So, now, are you an OpenAI subscriber by chance?
No,
Okay. Yeah. So, um,
not everything at the same time.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So, yeah, these are some of the GPTs that folks have created. So, a lot of things are like they've taken some body of knowledge
mm,
and loaded it into the GPT, and now you can have a conversation about that body of knowledge. So,
okay.
yeah, project managers. So here's project management. Be okay. Let's put that in there. Give it some instructions, and then now you're getting advice about project management. It's kind of like being able to talk to a book.
Mm,
So, in fact, that's the very first thing that I tried. Is I say, okay, I've got my book in PDF form. Let's just load the first couple of chapters in, and now let's talk about the book. And it basically just started reading the book to me. So it's like, wait, no, not quite what I want. I want you to help me through the process. Um, so, uh, I took a different tack. This one right here, and this one is a code wizard. It knows about how to build websites, so it knows HTML, CSS, JavaScript, um, and so basically you load a whole bunch of examples into that, and then you can have that kind of conversation. So, bunch of other options up here. Some of them attached to products like Canva. Some of them are attempting to be products in and of themselves, because the the model for this is a revenue sharing model. So if you've got a really popular GPT and people are using it, basically OpenAI is going to take part of that $20 a month that they're spending in order to get a subscription, and they'll give you a cut of that. So if you get a lot of people using your GPT, you can actually start to make a little bit of money. I don't think it's going to be a primary income for anybody, but it helps out.
mm,
But the really cool thing about this, my GPTs, what can you create? So here's the historical modeling assistant that I was talking about. So in this one, let's so in the create mode, you're just talking to the LLM in order to describe what it is you want the GPT to do, and it's coming up with the settings in the background in order to try to accomplish that. And then on this other side, you're actually exercising it. So it's like, hey, let's go ahead and exercise my historical modeling assistant. You can start with the suggested prompt, and hey, I'd like to build an app. Okay, well, here's a list of things that we want to do. It was really hard for me to tell it to stop because before it was like, but now, no, really, don't give me bullet points, don't give me a list. Well, it still gives me a list, but it's a short one, so. Now these are the things that I want you to ask one question at a time until you understand the purpose of the app. So, yeah, this app is for service workers who assist with agricultural, however you spell agricultural, boom, tasks on site. So, so then it, just based on that, it thinks it knows a little bit more about the app, and so now it's asking, hey, detailed user interaction. Well, the app needs to work offline. So I really haven't given it much information, and it's starting to come up with stuff. And so it's
specifications.
like, yeah. So yeah, because the first few chapters of the book contain some factual tells you how to read a historical model. It's got factual in there. It says, oh, okay, we're going to create some facts. Okay. It didn't actually get to the point where it created specifications. All right, it stopped there. But yeah, it inferred all of this from just that little tiny bit of text. And I really wanted to slow down, understand more before giving you this. Because while this is not bad, it's not really tailored to your application. It doesn't know enough to tailor to your application. So, so yeah, this one is still a bit of a work in progress. On the configure side, this is really all that a GPT is. So we've got some knowledge. So this is this one actually, yeah. I had tried it before where I'd just given it PDFs of the chapters, but yeah, now this one actually, I've taken kind of a subset and put it together and just gave it a text file describing the factual modeling language. So yeah, this is really just a subset primarily of chapter 3. Yeah, conversation starters, and then the instructions are a kind of your system prompt. So so yeah, you just give it kind of the context of what it's supposed to do. Yeah, guide them through defining and refining a historical model. Yeah, begin by asking about the app's purpose and who the target audience is. Had to tell it a little bit about mutable properties. So this is actually a very short system prompt, very short set of instructions, which is why it's not terribly refined at this point. Mm-hmm. So I went from that, so the goal is, somebody that knows what app they want to build should be able to describe it, and then it generates an app, and we go. I mean, that's the goal. What's going to help along that goal, AI, but right now everybody's trying to just use AI to get that. But the tools are geared toward solving technical problems. They are technical abstractions. They are not business abstractions or process abstractions. So when people try to use LLMs in order to build an application using REST and Entity Framework and all of these technologies, the tool has to focus on the technology. But if we give it a way to model the problem, and then we'll let the runtime take care of all the technology things, then I think we'll have better success. And that's what the Jinaga.net assistant is all about. So with this one, I have 3 conversation starters. Let's build an application with Jinaga.net and, well, it cuts it off, .NET MAUI. Build an application using Polyglot notebooks, or please review my code. It would be nice if these conversation starters had a short thing that could show up on the button, but then a long piece of text that actually showed up in here. But let's start with Polyglot notebooks. So let's understand your core requirements for your application. And look, it stopped after one question. You give it enough of a system prompt and say, no, really, one question, then it can start to talk like a person instead of a machine. So who are the primary users of the application, and what is their primary goal for using? Well, it combined 2 questions into one. Okay. It's trying to get all the answers at once. Yeah, so I'm building an app for service workers. With agricultural tasks. They will be dispatched to yards based on...
Yep.
Yeah. The dispatcher has a different app is always connected, but the service worker is on mobile. That is often out of range. All right. Gave it a little bit more than I did last time, but all right. So now let's define the entities and workflows for service workers and dispatchers. Okay. So it's picked out some entities from the words that I've already said. It looks like it's mixed in a little bit of external knowledge. Well, you're going to have status about tasks, so let's represent that. We've got assignments. I didn't say anything about updates, but it kind of inferred, yeah, you have to do updates. Synchronization absolutely is going to be a problem. And then, because I started with, let's do this in polyglot notebooks, it has access to the part of the knowledge base that was specifically to do with polyglot notebooks. And so now we've got some C# facts. So part of that knowledge base talks about the relationship between users and facts. So it has this idea that Jinaga.net manages the user fact, and when somebody logs in, you can tell what user they are. So it's got that. So it says, okay, a service worker is created for a particular user at a particular date time. So knowing what I know about this model, we want to associate the service worker with with a company, an entity that's going to be managing the work. It hasn't quite figured out those enterprise patterns yet. They're documented, but it doesn't really see how to apply them. But I can refine things and tell it how to refine them. Now, here it's already gone, to the next step. You can't slow this thing down once it gets its teeth into a problem. It says, okay, now let's write some example queries. And this is really where I've been refining this thing. It has been basically using all of its knowledge of LINQ in order to create queries that you would normally create in Entity Framework, and using all of those features that are available to it in EF. And it's like, no, not all of those features are available. Constrain yourself to just this set of features and approach the problem in just this way. You're walking a graph, and then when you get to a certain point in the graph, then you can create a projection, which can then continue to walk the graph for each of the different child objects. So it's like, okay, now it's finally doing that. Okay, let's walk the graph. It knows that that you have your first parameter here. It knows that this is a fact repository, so you can use facts of type in order to get to the next one. It knows that you always have to have a where clause to join this to something else, so join it back to the parameter. This took a while for it to really sink in, but it now knows that you can't have a where clause based on the values of properties. So no strings, integers, anything like that. So facts only. It's still bringing in some LINQ knowledge that is not in my documentation. I don't typically use this kind of pattern. It works. Cleans things up a little bit. So now you've aliased dispatch.task, so it doesn't show up here. You give it a name, task. Yeah, not a bad thing to do. So I didn't tell it not to do that, but neither did I tell it to do that. Sometimes it even takes this entire thing and gives that an alias up here before using that in the projection, which is like, yeah, if somebody thinks that's cleaner, go ahead and do it. Yeah, I personally don't, but why would I tell it not to do that if that's the way that somebody else wants to write queries? So now it's getting all the way to all right, here's how you would do a status update. So when a service worker updates the status of a task, then you do await Jinaga client.fact and do task status. And give it the status name and the previous status, so it knows the mutable property pattern. That was also a whole cycle of teaching it about the mutable property pattern. It's like, no, really, the fields that you put into these facts are immutable. So, like, here, I would scold it about, nope, name should be a mutable property of a yard. Move that into another fact. It still doesn't come up with that right off the bat. But if I were to tell it right here, in fact, I will do that. The name of the yard should be mutable. That should be all I need to say. And then...
But it's amazing all that it comes up with. The facts, the specifications.
Yeah, there we go. So now it's refactored the model. It's giving you a specification. Here's a name update. Well, previous yard name. There's more around that code that it really should see examples of. Get the previous yard name. If the number of candidate facts is not 1, or if it is 1 and the value is different, then do this. Otherwise, you create this chain of changes that are not actual changes. So yeah, it really should help you out a little bit more there. Here's the lets that contain the entire the entire specification. That actually works. This ends up being an iQueryable, and then you can use it here. This doesn't work. Yep, I have scolded it about this too. First or default is not allowed inside of a specification. So if you're in given.match and you are still inside of these parentheses, you cannot use first or default. You have to realize this to memory, and then you can use first or default. So it's not really picking up on that kind of detail yet. But then, yeah, go all the way to helping you write some XAML. It's very simple XAML, but here this isn't from any of the information that I provided. This is all coming from its external knowledge. So it has seen Maui code before, so it knows how to do that. So yeah, this is I like the fact that it is constraining itself for the most part to valid specifications now. It understands patterns, so if you tell it to apply a pattern, it will do so. It doesn't fully understand the pattern, so it's not giving you guidance here, and it is still making some mistakes that I've told it not to make. So I would say this is, at this point, a useful tool for somebody who already understands the patterns and the limitations of Jinaga, and how to apply them and how to remedy those limitations. But this is not yet to the point of somebody that doesn't even know how to write Jinaga or XAML or Link, just saying, hey, here's my application, and generate it for me. Not there yet.
It's already quite amazing. Has more knowledge than me.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that it will still be useful. I think I do want to do a few more iterations on it, and then publish this as a GPT. But yeah, it would still be used with caution, because if it generates something, it still might not be correct. So the back end here, this this text file is basically the entire contents of
the
this
website.
site right here. So
Yeah.
I basically just took everything, concatenated it into one file, and so part of what I've been doing is if it makes a mistake, like this mistake here, I will first of all tell it about the mistake right here while I'm using it, and then in fact let's go through that right here. So used first or defaults within a specification appearing in given .match. So so scold it a little bit right here, and then it's you are correct. Let me fix that. So yeah, it should come up with single default. No.
Okay. That one also is not.
So yeah, please don't try first. Please don't try single. And so keep correcting it until it gets to a point where it's producing something correct. Here it's now said to list. All right. And then, but now it said, okay, now we can do Jinaga client.query. It's in memory, and now we can use select and use link to queries, do all the right things there. That's fine. In fact, it probably explains that right here. Select the latest outside of the Jinaga query, and yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's better. But you still used to list. So we're already talking about immutable lists. We don't do that. Let's revise it. Okay, so whether it gets this right or not, we'll move on to the next step. It looks like it's getting it right. So it's giving you back the yard names, text statuses, and then you can project into a view model from memory and bind to your view model. There's your view model class. Yeah. It's not implementing onNotify property changed, but whatever. We won't be too picky. All right, so yeah, please summarize what you have just learned.
Feed it the whole Pluralsight library.
Yeah. About supported features link. So, so now it produces a summary that presumably should be all the information that it just used in order to get the right answer. So, so then what I would do with these summaries is I would either add them to the documentation itself. So it's like, you know what? Everybody needs to know this. So link guidance. This whole section is how to use link with Jinaga.net. I know you know link, but this is how you use it with Jinaga.net. Down to limitations. So can't do conditions based on fields. You cannot use first or defaults or first, singular defaults. Does not support these methods. Doesn't support group by, join, order by. To overcome them, you project into memory, and then use link to objects. So it's like the information's here, and then I regenerate this, upload it, try it again. But sometimes, yeah, this bit of information doesn't make it to the front of what it's trying to do. It doesn't give attention to that bit of information, and I can actually use the attention without making it sound too much like a human. What's that term? Anthropomorphizing. Yeah. So because attention is the term of art for what it's doing, but yeah. So sometimes it doesn't come up to to the top of its attention, and so you still have to give it a little bit of an extra nudge in here. So the GPT will provide advice about selecting the appropriate fields and facts, remembering that fields are immutable. And we'll evaluate specifications to ensure that they adhere to the best practices documented in the knowledge base, and don't use the field comparisons, first or default, order by, or any other link feature not supported by Jinaga. So, hey, put attention on those limitations. So seeing that word here, and then seeing that word show up in a header in the documentation, it should tell it to apply that. It's not quite working 100% right now. But yeah, much longer bit of a system prompt. And in fact, here, this was the last one that it did. It's like, okay, I know that I've got over here documentation about wait a minute, actually, yeah, encapsulating specification. So I've got documentation about the condition fact. So you can say condition.define and get a condition, and also the relation. So and replace this with putting a relation inside of the customer, relation.define, and now you've got the customer name, so that's a relation of type string. Yeah. And now do that for the cart, do it for the cart item. You put a bunch of relations in your model, and now all of a sudden it shows up like this. The customer names is just customer.names. Hey, yeah. The items, we just do the cart.items.select, so we're using that relation, and then we're fully further refining it to get the cart item, the product names, the quantities, and those are just relations that are inside of the cart item. So much smaller, much more easy to read than this, and a lot less duplication, because this stuff here is going to appear pretty much every time you want cart items. So good documentation for the user to have. So just providing that documentation wasn't enough for it to apply it correctly. So after providing that documentation and it made some mistakes, then I asked it to correct its mistakes, generate a summary, and I just pasted that whole summary right here into the system prompt. So yeah, this is the process I'm going through to iterate, refine, try to get better behavior out of this thing.
Remarkable. So that's a step closer to building an application almost automatically. Yep.
Yeah, there's something that I really want to play with. Actions. You can create an action, which can be you authenticate with some API. And then here's your schema. You generate, or you just use Swagger to give it the schema, and then even the privacy policy. Yeah, so the thing can explain what it's about to do. It's about to make an API call, and these are the consequences of that API call. You sure you want me to do this? So that's already kind of built into actions. But then, so I can set up an API that will allow it to upload a specification and or a model and some specifications, and then that API will set up an example website. And so it's like, okay, here's the website, here's the URL, and then you go over there and you play around with it. And then you come back and you say, nope, let's change things. So with that kind of a capability, you can even revise the model, improve the model without even reading the model or being able to read the model. Just you're seeing the application as it behaves. So that's ultimately where I want that to go.
Okay, so that it extracts the way it should work automatically from the example.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I tell it to go ahead and take this code that you just refined here, in the system prompt, take a complete model from what you understand so far. Take a complete set of specifications from what you understand so far, and then just upload them using this action. And then tell the user about the URL that you get back from the action. Then something on the backside can be, it's just compiling code. It's checking syntax. So it can give you back an error, and then it would know, oh, wait a minute, I've done something illegal. Let me respond to that error message and let it loop without the user having to intervene. That'll be useful just in and of itself. But then if it's right, then have that backend service stand up the example application and give them the URL. So yeah, it's possible. I can see it from here.
Well, that's that's another thing I should start playing with. But maybe I should do that first. That could help me out of all the other problems.
Yeah. I will say that that we are now in the age of AI assisted learning. That the AI can really help us with its present knowledge and our questions and basically it's an index. It's really the next generation of search engine. So it can index into a knowledge base from the text that we type in, and come up with something that's going to be helpful to us. So yeah, if it knows Maui, it knows Link, it knows REST and ASP.NET. So yeah, you can watch these examples on Pluralsight, and then you can go to ChatGPT and reason through some ask your questions that you can't ask the instructor. Paste in the error message that you get out of the code, and it'll help you to diagnose those error messages. Yeah, it is a very powerful tool.
Yeah, and it's amazing because it can remember all the knowledge that it had before, unlike humans.
Yeah. Yeah, to some degree, there's a limit to its buffer, but that buffer size is getting bigger and bigger. So right now, it's as if you were talking to a human who had just finished reading a book and has the entire book in their mind. So that's about the size of the buffer, which is pretty big. And yeah, I would say that right now the challenge is getting it to ignore parts of its knowledge that it was trained on. So yeah, it knows Link, but I want it to use a subset of Link. Yeah, the goal is not Link. The goal is specification, and specifications just happen to use some Link features. So focus on specification. Yeah,
because otherwise it will come up with all the possible solutions like it did just now.
Yeah.
Say this one is not allowed, and he comes up with an alternative which is also not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, give that a shot. And so, if you do end up getting a subscription, then you'll be able to use the the Jinaga.net assistant as soon as I hit the publish button on that, which I think is pretty close now. And yeah, that's it's going to be a helpful tool.
I'm gonna have a look at that, how it works, and all right. Good, and trying to catch up with Maui in the meantime. Still looking into some other things as well. I have a backup which is going over an open VPN line, and so the provider changed the VPN account for some maintenance reasons. And suddenly nothing is working anymore. I thought, oh, I quickly change it, but it's still not working. And these things have been running for about eight years now. But so 8 years ago, I set up everything, and then 8 years later, you say, "Oh, it's not working anymore."
Yeah.
So you have to.
Yeah, I don't remember how I did that.
Yeah, I documented it a little bit, but apparently not enough. So, and that's based on Open WRT, that modem. So let's go through it again. But that's always a problem. You learn something, you implement it, and then you don't touch it for a long time. Well, yeah. Either you specialize in it and you do these things day in, day out, and you get better in it and you don't forget. Either you forget and you have to retrain yourself.
Yeah. Who wants to be a specialist on VPN when it just keeps working for 8 years until it doesn't?
Yeah, okay, but we will solve that.
Yeah.
Good. So, yeah, this weekend you were not there, but Thursday you are there, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that weekend we've got our hackathon planned. So
okay,
we will.
That's great. I scheduled it in my agenda.
Excellent.
So that will be roughly what time? The same time as the.
Yeah. I think starting at the same time and then going for about 4 hours.
Okay, so that will be afternoon in in my time zone.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael, see you next Thursday then.
Yeah. See you then.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye-bye.
Bye.